Right, tribe. Happy Armed Forces weekend, or the Monday thereafter. Um, Hopefully this video, the freeze frame which I upload, won't cause quite such a stir as one last week did. I'm not vain enough to go through and put where the freeze frame lands. Like golf, you just play the ball where it lies. You'll see this week I'm sporting a bit of a fat lip. It's not for bar brawling. I was kite surfing over the weekend and I didn't put any sun cream on, so I've got a big blistered lip. But that's not what this video is about. Just want to do a quick roundup on everything that's gone on over the weekend, because there's been a load of great activity, and like, for those of you who were tracking it on Facebook, like, it was just amazing to see the turnout for Armed Forces Day, and everyone that manned a Team Rubicon stand in Salisbury, where we Chatham, Gillingham and Plymouth. Huge team effort, and I'll come on to some of the feedback about it in a second, some of the things that we've been asked to verify. But first of all, I just want to absolutely first and foremost mention big grumpy Frank. Frank absolutely went above and beyond this weekend. Leaving home about 7:30 in the morning on Friday, driving to HQ, back to Plymouth, manning the stalls all weekend, doing that in reverse on the Sunday, getting home about 3:45 on Monday morning. I think he'd have been a young RAF trooper the last time he went out on a Friday morning and came back on a Monday morning. So absolutely gargantuan effort. Frank, thank you so much for just putting all that graft in to represent the brand so impeccably down in Plymouth. And of course, to all the usual suspects, we see the same faces doing so much for the organisation again and again and again, and they were out in force again this weekend. Rich McSweeney, great to see Becky Maynard back, Mike Brewer, Mark Lindsay, Caroline, it's the same old faces. Rick Walters, you guys do so much for us, and I know there was no specific outcome for this weekend. Mark, in your update, we raised 12 quid, but Goo rounded up to 15. That was a community event that was just great for us to be seen in. Our brand profile is going up and up and up. People a year ago didn't have a clue who we are. People are hearing about us now, and the effect of these events aren't always felt straight away. But it was just a great turnout, and typical Team Rubicon fashion, pulled off against the odds in some ways, which is something I'll come on to in a minute. We've got International Ops Course coming up soon, and hopefully you've all seen the video from Paul Taylor. I'm not the only one doing videos now, which is amazing, because I don't become a bottleneck on the comms. But I know if you're watching this video, that means you probably do monitor the Slack channels, so I'm preaching to the converted. But when I've spoken to OLC Course and International Ops Course, I talk about you becoming influencers in the network. Influence people to start engaging with Slack and these videos, because this is the source of knowledge at the moment of what's going on in the organisation. I think my videos at the moment get between 60 and 80 hits, but there's about 700 grey shirts out there. So encourage people to watch these videos so they know what's going on, so they know how to engage, so they understand where we're going, and it stops some of that frustration building up. So if you're watching this, you'll be the same people that probably watch it each week. There is more videos out on the street. The fundraising team did one this morning, just saying what they're focusing on right now. Paul Taylor's doing them. Beth and Canterbury, Chief of Staff's doing one tomorrow. So there's loads more information out there. So just encourage everyone to engage with the Slack channel. I know Slack isn't necessarily the best for what we use it for the grey shirts, but it's what we've got at the moment. The Friday email needs work, but it's what we've got at the moment. And I'm going to come on to organisational priorities. So the internal comms mechanisms aren't going to change much, but the volume of information coming out has picked up and will continue to increase. So if we can just get you to engage with Slack for the time being, to watch the videos, that's the best way for us to have the conversation, we think, with you from the feedback that we're getting in return. So coming on to some other thank yous, and this isn't from this weekend, this is just an enduring, massive grey shirt always commitment from these two, and it's AJ Grit and Shane Leahy. Some of you won't even know who they are. If you've been on international operations, you'll definitely know who they are. Shane does our rock health, and AJ does our mental health, our tier screening, and they do this pretty much full time. So whenever an op happens, they're spinning this up, they're looking after you all, they're deploying you, they're bringing you back, they're checking on you afterwards, they're talking to me, talking to the team. They give us so much time, and they give us a layer of professionalism this organisation couldn't function without, because we couldn't knowingly and safely put you people into the situations where we sometimes put you without this layer of professional occupational health screening and mental health welfare. And they are real unsung heroes of this organisation. I speak to AJ more than I speak to Shane, but I just wanted to, put a mark in the sand here and do it more regularly and thank them. And hopefully those of you that have enjoyed their services know just what they give to us and this organisation. So Shane, AJ, thanks. So there's some feedback from the weekend around what's going on, current state. And some of you are worried that I had to make 2 people redundant all at once. And I'm going to take you through, again, the full picture, just so that everyone knows where we're at. Charities are governed by a reserve policy, which is held by the board. And Team Rubicon is governed to hold 9 months' money in reserve. Now, when Mozambique kicked off, we had about 10, 11 months' money in the bank. And I'm then faced with an option. And this is one of those command decisions that you get sometimes, and there's sometimes no right answer, but you've got to make a call. And Mozambique was unfolding before our eyes. It was clear it was a massive disaster, but it was clear we didn't have enough money to do it. So we had to throw the dice and deploy, because that's what we're here for. We are a disaster response organisation, and there was people dying that we could help. So to me, there was almost no choice, because if we are what we say we are, if we are this brand, if we are this expeditionary, gritty disaster response force, then that's what we're built for. So I then took the chance that we would fundraise against that disaster. Now, we did do some fundraising, but we didn't do enough. So it just ate our financial feet in doing that, which put us well inside our reserves policy. So in line with governance, I notified the trustees. Well, I notified Nick Parker first and say, this is the situation. And then we follow a series of governance protocols. At 9 months, I notify. At 6 months, I have to take action. Now, halfway through the Mozambique deployment, we crested inside our 6-month reserve policy. So I didn't have 6 months running cost liquid in the bank. And at that moment, I am bound by governance to reduce cost. Now, there was absolutely probably one of the worst things I ever to do was making Claire and Tim redundant. They have been tremendous servants to this organisation, and I've told them both that if I can, I will offer them their jobs back. But the fact is, it was about keeping the team together that could do multiple jobs, and it was around creating space around the fundraising function. So basically, everyone that was a funding function in some way, now that's operational as well, needed to be given the time and space, and we're taking risk in some of the other areas, because that puts us back the right side of our governance model. So I think some of the feedback from the weekend was people thought we were about to go out of business. Like, no, we're not. We're actually pushing the runway out again, because we've had some great fundraising done by Claire Dakin and Joe Parsons over the last couple of weeks. We've just had a big fundraising event last Wednesday, that Holly was on, I told you about. We've got another one tomorrow night where Paul Taylor and I are representing from TR. And actually, our runway again now is back out into sort of March, Easter time next year, and we've got big things to happen. So we're going the right way again, but it's hard work, and sometimes you've got to make hard decisions. And those redundancies were horrible for all of us, and it means that we are incredibly stretched in HQ right now. And some of you I've spoken to, I've told others, you won't know, but I've been a huge study of Shackleton since I was a young boy. Really, I've read Endurance over and over again, and I've always used him as a reference point in difficult situations. And it's like there's just a couple of his sayings that apply here that I want to just give to you, and one of them is that a superhuman effort isn't worth a damn unless you achieve results. And basically, in this context, everything we did in Mozambique, if that put Team Rubicon out of business, that was still the right thing to do, because there is people alive today in Mozambique that would not have been alive if it wasn't for the teams that went downrange. Now, we had to take a risk, we delivered against it, but that superhuman effort is worth nothing unless we make the right calls on the back end to keep this organisation growing and capitalise on that, so we can keep doing that again and again and again. And the other one is, I've made some mistakes in fundraising. I haven't got it right so far. And, Shackleton talks about No, a man must shape himself a new mark the minute the other one goes to ground. Basically, what we're saying is the minute your plan tanks, don't wallow on it. Don't sit and wait and just go down with the ship. Set a new mark and go after it again. And for those who know that story, he escaped the South Pole ice fields with all of his people because of his resilience and his leadership. And that's why I use him as this benchmark always. And my mistakes in fundraising have been going down a standard model, one that I knew from Help for Heroes, from the chairman of Sport for Freedom that I was, because it worked in that space. It hasn't worked here. Now it should work, and everyone we speak to says, "Oh, it should work. It should be fundable." I know it should, but it isn't working, and there's a variety of factors, and I make no excuses. But we're shaping a new mark, and we're going after it in a different way. And the way that is to give Jo Parsons and Claire Dakin time to work in the more standard philanthropic space. Jo Parsons is just crunching trust and foundation applications. I don't think she sleeps, and she's kicking ass at it. She is really delivering results. Checks are just appearing for 30 grand. She is absolutely making it rain in HQ right now. Claire Dakin is working in the peer-to-peer major gift space, and she's helping us bring together groups of influential high net worth people for the support squad that I've told you about at 1, 5 and 10 year annual gifts, and this ambassadors program that Nick Fothergill, our trustee, is helping to shape. So that's the middle part. And then there's the work that I'm doing predominantly with Bethan, with Nick Parker, and a chap called Chris Hall, who's a former special political advisor, who's volunteering to help me. Oh, it's my dog going absolutely nuts. Ernie, come here. These things never go as planned. And we're looking at the institutional level cash. We've got bids for 5 million quid out against various institutional pots. I think today I've just managed to secure a meeting with Rory Stewart, who is the outgoing Secretary of State for DFID. We've had things off to Philip Hammond. There is an immense amount of activity going on in HQ. Ben Lampard has just come back from Sierra Leone with Paul. We've funded the operation in the DRC. We're now shaping the operation in Sierra Leone. We've got Nick Spicer going back out to BVI in a minute to deliver a PERDEX program. Like, the tempo is frenetic, and there's 8 people at the moment. Well, there's 8 plus Nicola. So there's 8 full-time staff, and there's Nicola. Now, that means things will get dropped. But I know that, and I'm taking that risk, because the important thing now is to make the work we did in Mozambique count, and to use this as the case for funding that makes this thing sustain, but not just sustain, but grow. So this is the time. And the principles of a high-performing team are around trust. And it's one of the biggest adjustments we've had to make in the full-time team. And it's just something I want you all to be aware of as well. When Taryn was running the op in Mozambique, she sent me 1 sit-rep a day. And I trusted her because I knew she was capable, and I knew the team down there were capable, and I entrusted them 100% to deliver and tell me what I needed to know. Now, of course, there was a few times when I had to make requests for information, because that's natural, but they were just entrusted and empowered to deliver forward. And that's how I run the team as well, the full-time team. And there will be times at the moment when you won't feel like you're getting the information you want, but you need to trust us to be doing what's necessary for this organisation, because we live and breathe this thing. I love this organisation with every single part of me, and the rest of the team is the same, and they are giving their absolute all. Now, that will cause some frustration unless you lean back on the trust this organisation is built around, that every successful team is built around. Because when you deploy, we trust you. We trust you 100%. The way we just trusted Bob Chalice and the team to go north and deliver Wainfleet, and they crushed it. And they crushed it with empowered execution. And that's what we did in Mozambique, and that's what we're going to do whatever happens this summer coming into hurricane season and every op going forward. But please trust us reciprocally, because it's very tight. And the team is spinning up and doing everything they can for this organisation against my priorities. Now, I know you lot lent in really hard this weekend because the kit came out in shit state, and I'm sorry for that. That's on me, because I haven't given the team the space to do that job properly. And Mark Lindsay's organising a kit muster weekend, which is great. I'll be there as well. In fact, I'm going to cook the barbecue. That's an amazing thing to do, because that's really going to help us out. That kit came out in shit state, and it's my fault, and I'm really sorry, and I'm thankful to all of you for like sorting those gazebos, for sorting that water purifier, and that's on me because I've got the team running hell for leather other things. You know, you're asking about marketing and com support. Kirsty's down to a day a week over 2 days at the moment, and she's focused on the really big com strategy, institutional pitches for me, because we've had to set a new mark, because the one we were on wasn't working and it wasn't the future for this place. Now, I hope this, like, I mean, I'm always this honest with you. I'm just hoping you understand where we're at and why we've had to make the decisions we're making, and why sometimes at the moment HQ feels clunky, because there's just such a tiny amount of us, and they're working against a set of priorities that I've given them, which is the future for this organisation. Any one of those pitches that we've got out comes in, this whole evolution changes, because we're in this odd counterbalance where operationally the enterprise is growing and growing and growing, and actually we are like a big, proven, potent capability now with UN recognition that we're chasing down. DFID knows us. You know, people know what we're doing. Like, that is a complete step change from a year ago, where we are now a real humanitarian organisation. So on one side of the enterprise, we're into the small, medium size, and we're scaling. But on the other, we just haven't had the funding pipeline, and we haven't been able to do it reactionary in the heat of the moment for a variety of reasons. But that's my fault. And those mistakes sit with me, and I'm fixing it now. And the team is doing everything they can to help me fix it, because they're making up for my mistake. And I just ask you, like, your input to that is just to give them some space, or not even space, but just understanding when it's not always as we would hope. But the future is really bright, because we're already sorting out that funding issue. Like, the money is going away from us again. We've got an amazing period of disaster risk reduction operations coming up. We've just had a domestic operation. We've got loads of good courses in the pipeline. You know, so there's lots of things for you to get involved in, home and away. So that international ops course, that next one up, is understaffed and understudented at the moment. Get on that, because you're going to kick yourself if you haven't done that course and you had an opportunity and these ops are going out the door and you can't go. Like, we don't know what disaster season is going to bring down in the Caribbean. We never do. That's the nature of it. We weren't ever expecting Mozambique. And the situation operationally has shifted significantly. So I hope you all understand now roughly where we're at. Some of the pressures, some of the decisions I've had to make, but also just how great things still are, and improving all the time. So if you've got any other points, worry beads, lead on the trust, but also ask. Like, Mark Lindsay came forward with some great constructive questions and feedbacks that he collated from people. I'm hoping this is answering to any of you that are having those fears and worries. As always, I'm always here. The team's always here. Encourage as many of your grey shirts to watch these videos, so they're hearing what's coming out, and also from the other team. Right, tribe, slightly longer, but still under 20 minutes. It's a beautiful Monday summer evening. I hope you're all having a great time. Like, I hope this video has been useful for you, and for, again, all of those of you that turned out and delivered so exceptionally over Armed Forces Weekend. First of all, I'm sorry the kit was in shit state, but thank you for just being this brand, like just being this organisation of ours. It was amazing to see, and some of my mates were there, and the feedback was really great. And to AJ and Shane, as always, you guys are instrumental to this organisation. Right, tribe. Thank you so much for everything. I love you all. Like, have a great Monday evening. Cheers.